All right, so I went to go see the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc movie, and this is my review of it. We'll do a spoiler-free section first, and then I'll jump into spoilers and stuff. For spoiler-free, this movie is very good. This is a good movie. The weird thing about reviewing this movie is if you're not into Demon Slayer, you're not gonna go see it. It's not like a movie, that you would go see if you're not interested in the show or if you haven't watched the show at all. Obviously, I think that the show is very good. And I think that this movie encapsulates, what the show has to offer, and even better. I think that this movie is probably the best thing we've gotten since season 3 of Demon Slayer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Demon Slayer or season 4 and season 5 of Demon Slayer are bad by any means. I actually think Demon Slayer overall is a very, very good show, and this movie is no less. I think that it follows and fits exactly what Demon Slayer should be, and I think it's really, really good. I'm just going to give you some background on my thoughts on Demon Slayer as a whole. Not that anybody asked for them, but I'm going to give them to you anyway, just so you can understand my standpoint on this anime. I think that Demon Slayer is a very good shonen and a very good show to show people that are not the biggest anime fans, because this show is simple to follow, but it's got great animation, the story is good, and it's got characters that you root for and that you enjoy. Now these characters aren't insanely complex, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I read stories and stuff back there. You can see over there, like Berserk, and you can see over there, Vagabond. I'm used to reading stuff that is very philosophical, or maybe not necessarily philosophical, but it's very deep, and there are themes and subtext. And not saying that Demon Slayer doesn't have any of those, but when it comes to specific characters, such as Tanjiro, the main character. Now, if you haven't watched the show, you're probably not going to be watching the movie, but this isn't a spoiler for the movie. Tanjiro is a static character, in my opinion. I think that he goes through trouble and tribulations and problems that he has to hurdle of strength and getting stronger, but his core character of being a good person never falters. He is always a good person. He is nice to every human. He cares about people. He puts his life on the line for people. And I think it makes it really easy to root for him. And, it makes it easy to root for Tanjiro, but then in turn makes you root for him and Nezuko. You want his sister to win. You know what I mean? And then that also applies to, Zenitsu, and just all of the Demon Slayer characters. They're not necessarily the most complex beings where they make really contradicting decisions, you know what I mean? Because that's one of the things of writing a good character or a complex character, is they can have morals and stand in one way, but then they act in another. That's what makes them complex and interesting, because even though they say one thing, they do another. But in Demon Slayer, it's not really like that, but that doesn't make it a bad thing. I think that this show is very, very good and very. I showed my fiance; she's not huge into anime, and she likes Demon Slayer. It's a very good show for, I think, beginners to get into anime, because you get the sense of what anime is about, but you get really beautiful animation, really good character designs. That is one thing I love about this show. I know that it's anime, but it doesn't look like other shows do, and the colors that they use, it's so great. And I know that this isn't necessarily pointed towards the movie, but this all applies to the movie, because like I said, the movie feels like a Demon Slayer movie, which, again, if you have watched the show, the Mugen Train arc, or season 2 of Demon Slayer, released as a movie, but then they broke it up into episodic format. But with this movie that we saw, it feels like it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is a very long time to be in a movie theater, but it doesn't ever feel like it drags at all. You jump around from characters and stuff to see what's going on and everything, but it doesn't get boring. And at least to me personally, I didn't really notice the runtime, because we're doing a whole bunch of different things, and It's really good. I'm gonna jump into the spoiler section now. Spent 5 minutes just talking about Demon Slayer and the movie as a whole without any spoilers. But okay, we're jumping into spoiler territory now. The one thing about this movie that had me confused, and it's my own personal fault. It's not the movie's fault. With the death of Shinobu, I was confused because when she showed up to the area where the upper two demon was. Now, mind you, I'm sorry that I don't remember the demons' names off the top of my head, so I'm sorry about that. But the upper two demon that she ends up eventually dying to, I thought that this was a previous encounter. I thought that this was like she ran into her sister who was dying, and then she went and found the demon that did it, and it just happened to be the upper two. I thought that this happened previously before they got into the Infinity Castle. So when she like died and was getting absorbed, I was extremely confused because I was like, is this a past event? But no, it's present, and obviously I know that now. But it just, the way that it was framed, where everybody is split up in the Infinity Castle for the most part. You have Gyomei and Tokito, they're together. You have the Wind Hashira, he's alone. Shinobu, she's alone. You have Tanjiro and Giyu, they're together. You know, you have them broken up into different either individuals or duos. And when it cut to Shinobu, the area that she was in, I guess it's the upper two demons area or whatever, it looked different than the rest of the castle, so I assumed that it was a previous encounter. That's the only problem I have. But this movie is really good. It's really good, man. So we'll start out with Shinobu. Her fight, you know, she is probably the weakest Hashira, so it makes sense that she would lose to upper two. But it was still a good fight. You know, she you know, you still get, the thing about Demon Slayer is you still get her backstory of her sister, and you still root for her even though you know she's probably not going to win. But it's still, I'm not saying you're going to be in the theater crying and really upset that Shinobu died, but at the same time you feel bad because you want the Demon Slayers as a whole to win. So even seeing some of them die, it sucks. It sucks. But then we'll jump to Zenitsu's part where he basically gets a 1v1 with the upper six, and that was crazy. That was crazy. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Zenitsu. I understand that, they made him kind of the crybaby character, but now in season 5, at the end of season 5, and in this movie, he's locked in, right? Like, he's not scared anymore. He's awake. He is fighting to like basically his full potential, and it's really good. And seeing the backstory between him and his co-successor or whatever, it makes a lot of sense. You know, he mastered the first form but couldn't do any others. The co-successor, he couldn't do the first form but mastered all the others, and it's a really good balance. Again, you get another sad or like, heartfelt moment where Zenitsu explains to him that their Gramps killed himself, or I guess I shouldn't say that, but whatever, you know what I'm saying. He killed himself, and it is sad. Again, I'm not going to be busting out into tears in for these characters, the ones that I've talked about specifically, like Zenitsu and Shinobu, but obviously Zenitsu wins his fight and in a single strike, and it's really cool. And again, like I said earlier, the animation is so good, the colors are so good, like the way that they use the breathing techniques to pop color or just show things off, like it's really cool. Also, the upper six demon, his blood demon art is really cool. The lightning that like slowly disintegrates your skin, that's a really cool concept, man. I really like that. But yeah, he got bodied by Zenitsu, and it was what it was. Then another thing about this is I like that it's not always in the Infinity Castle. It jumps back to the Ubuyashiki family that are like using the crows to try to map out and everything. That's really cool. It really makes the Demon Slayer Corps, all the humans, it makes them really feel like a team that all need each other, because even though the Hashira are extremely strong, which by the way, this movie shows that the Hashira are not nearly strong enough for what they need to be. I'm not a huge power scaler, but I do like thinking about like how certain characters would do in certain situations. And I think that in a fight that we're going to get to, which basically takes up the last hour to hour and a half of the movie, if I got it correct, that fight absolutely shows that the Hashira are not nearly strong enough. And obviously, you know, that's by design. You know, the demons are able to fully regenerate, they can heal. They don't really have like a stamina limit, you know what I mean? They can kind of just go because whatever. But yeah, this movie all around, you get a lot of fun, like just things. You get to see the Wind Hashira shit on a bunch of demons that are like, you know what I mean? It's fun to see them fight. But basically, the big fight of this movie is Giyu and Tanjiro versus Akaza. The Akaza-Tanjiro rematch from season 2, or, you know, the Mugen Train arc. And Akaza, of course, if you have not seen the show, go watch it. It's very good. You shouldn't be this far anyway. But, you know, Tanjiro still has the feelings for Akaza killing Rengoku. And, yeah, it's this rematch is definitely a really, really good one. You get Akaza's backstory, where he came from, and, you know, his life. And that's one thing that about Demon Slayer that makes characters very empathetic, is it feels like every character kind of has a sad backstory or something sad happened to them. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, but sometimes it can get a little like, oh my gosh, like every single time that Tanjiro has killed a demon, or like a important one, such as like Rui or anything like that, we see their backstory of what happened to them or how they were turned into a demon, and it's always sad. And again, like I said, that's not exactly a bad thing, but it's sometimes it's like, damn, bro, why can't demons just be like bad guys? Like, oh, he was a murderer and then got turned into a demon. And Akaza's story kind of is that, but it also has the sad stuff in there where he tried to change himself. He tried to change, and they didn't let that happen. You know, his family got poisoned or whatever, so he decided to go off the rails and kill a whole bunch of people, and then Muzan turned him into a demon. Got it, cool. But this is where we get that the Hashira are not ready for this fight. Okay, now don't get me wrong, you have Muzan, who's basically Demon Zero, right? Then you have Upper 1, Upper 2, who killed Shinobu, Upper 2, and then Upper 3 is Akaza. It took Tanjiro, the main character, and Giyu, with his Demon Slayer mark, which makes Demon Slayers inherent, like, much stronger. It took both of them, basically, their limits. They basically pushed themselves to their limits, and they didn't even kill Akaza. That's the craziest part about this, is that Akaza simply gave up because they beheaded him, and his will to live was so strong that he didn't die from being beheaded. Like, basically from the first episode of Demon Slayer, or early on in the seasons, we are explaining that beheading a demon is the only way to kill them. And except for Muzan, it's like specifically stated that except for Muzan, you behead a demon, they will die. Akaza gets beheaded, and he just chooses not to die. That's literally what it is. And if he did not choose to give up and go join his family, or you know, his deceased loved ones or whatever, he would have absolutely killed both Giyu and Tanjiro, and the TV show probably, or I'm sorry, the anime would probably be over. Now, of course, I know that's not how stories work, you know what I mean? He gives up, it makes it like, you know, more heartfelt and whatever. But yeah, it shows that if Giyu, who is supposed to be pretty strong, I would say Giyu is like top 4 or top 5 Hashira. It took him with Demon Slayer mark and Tanjiro there to behead Akaza, and he was pushed to his limit, and Akaza still lived. You know what I mean? So like, if top 4 Hashira can't beat upper 3, it's gonna be wicked in the next movies. My only complaint about this movie is I thought we were gonna see more of the other Hashira fighting upper moons. Now again, I understand that this is a trilogy sequel, or like a sequel trilogy, so it's gonna be this movie that just came out, and then 2 more. The last movie, I assume, is going to be them fighting Muzan, and then the middle movie is going to be all the Hashira fighting the upper moons and stuff. but I really like Guillaume. He's my guy. I really like the Stone Pillar, and I really wanted to see him get into some battle with some real heavy hitters like you know, upper one or maybe upper two. And I know that there's still time for that in the other movie, but I wanted to see more of it. I like seeing him. He's really cool. He uses the flail or whatever with the mace, or with the ball and spiky ball on the end or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. Sorry, I'm not a fucking medieval weapon guy, but yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think if you have watched Demon Slayer, you absolutely should go see it, of course. Like, you know what I mean? It's like basically watching the last season of a show. You know what I mean? Like, you already came this far, you might as well finish it. But it's a movie, and again, sitting in a theater for 2 hours and 45 minutes is long, but the movie doesn't feel it. But you know, sitting down and staring at a screen for 2 hours and 45 minutes straight, that's, you know, that's pretty long, regardless of if the movie makes it feel that length or not. But yeah, I say go see it. Yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good day.